And we are live. What's going on YouTube Live? It is your boy Billy Rowe. Today is Wednesday. I'd like to welcome you to the first row. And if it is Wednesday, you should know what that means. It's time for the Wednesday word. That's Wednesday word. Jumping straight into it. Tonight's topic is the Phoenix. As always, I like to share what I mean by my topic. So, what do I mean by the topic, the Phoenix? So, what I mean is about the Phoenix. So I guess to start off about what I mean by the topic, I kind of want to tell you a little bit about what the Phoenix is. Most of us are familiar with the phoenix. It's the mythological Greek bird that burns itself to the ashes and then arises from its ashes. It's actually an immortal bird. But more so how it relates to us when I say the topic the phoenix for us, what I'm referring to is how in life sometimes we have these major setbacks. We make these major mistakes or we make these decisions that lead us into a completely wrong direction, and it's sometimes difficult to recover from them. However, even when things burn down to the ground in our lives and everything is in disarray, we have the ability to be a phoenix and rise again. We are only one decision away from making our resurrection take place in regards to overcoming the mistakes that we have. So, when I'm talking about the phoenix, that's what I'm talking about in regards to us, just as far as those major life setbacks that we have, how we can overcome them and get back on our feet. So tonight I have 3 tools for the first row that I want to share with you in regards to the Phoenix. Let's jump straight into it. So tool number 1 when it comes to the Phoenix, and there's it feels like there's always this struggle when it comes to figuring out which is going to be the top tool. But tool number 1 when it comes to the Phoenix is be 100% accountable for your role. I'm a big fan of being accountable and accountability. The reason I'm a big fan of it is because not that I think that people should pay for their decisions in any way, but when we are accountable to any situation that we're in, what we do is we are taking our power to change that situation and putting it into our hands. And so though it can be attempting, though it can be tempting to blame others for your catastrophic event or your catastrophic failure or your catastrophic mistake, um, being 100% accountable to it allows you again to bring that power back in. Think about how many times like a relationship has come to an end. And this is actually when I used to date, something that I would do when I would have conversations with somebody who I was potentially going to be dating. I would look at or not look, but listen to the stories that the person would tell. And sometimes people, just because you're getting to know them, oh, so, tell me about your life, tell me what's been going on, tell me how you got to this point in life. But sometimes in those conversations about their exes would come up. And I would listen with a critical ear, and not critical in the sense of judging, but critical in the sense of what information is this person sharing? Are they sharing that, hey, things didn't work out? Sometimes things don't work out. We had our differences. I had my challenges and issues that I brought to the table, and they had their challenges and issues that they brought to the table. Or are they sharing a conversation in which it's like, well, he did this and he was that and he's this and he's that? I remember when I had broken up, or not broken up, when my ex and I had separated. One of my exes and I had separated. And I remember meeting her new boyfriend, um, and the boyfriend was telling me all the negative things about her boyfriend before him. And I just remember sitting and listening and being like, wow, oh, he's crazy. Oh, wow. I wasn't saying these things. I was just thinking in my head, like, oh, that boyfriend is the crazy one. That previous boyfriend is the one who had all the anger issues and made all the mistakes and had all these wonderful or horrible things that were about him. But I just sat there, and when the person finished, like, they kind of gave me a breath to kind of interject. I said, um, I can understand that maybe the last relationship she had wasn't the best relationship, and I get it. I didn't prefer the guy or like the guy either. I understand that aspect. However, there was a point in which if you were him, you would be having this conversation with somebody else about how horrible of a boyfriend I was and how horrible of a partner that I was. And so I understand that though you've only heard one side of the story, there's another side of the story. And that being 100% accountable to that other side of the story, again, what it does is it allows you to make better decisions. Yes, I wouldn't, depending on how you value your relationships. I have some relationships that I hold near and dear to me. Obviously, my wife I hold near and dear to me. But I have friendships that I also hold near and dear to me as well. And I can think about how if those relationships came to an end, that it could be considered a catastrophic event for me. It could be that particular, not me burning down to ashes, but that particular relationship burning down to ashes. However, what determines whether or not I resurrect that relationship is what role did I play into that relationship burning down to ashes? If I genuinely stand at the end of the day and I feel like, man, I've been a good friend, I've done what I feel like I should do. I've always not always been there, but I'm there consistently. And a person decides they don't want to be my friend anymore, or there's something that makes them feel like the relationship is burned down to the ground. Sometimes I'll leave the ashes there. I had a couple of years ago where I had a friend who I was looking at my role in the friendship. And I said, I think you're an awesome person. I think you're amazing. I think you're wonderful. But I think that if at this point in our relationship that I am causing this degree of frustration in your life, then it's best that I step away from that relationship and step away from this relationship and allow it to come to an end. Again, that's when those ashes burn down and you just say, hey, I'm going to let them be ashes. Um, think about it like this. If I chose that, hey, I'm creating this frustration and I'm the reason, if I'm willing to take 100% accountability for my role, I haven't learned how not to create this frustration yet in the relationship, and the relationship is over 10 years old. I'm going to take accountability and say either I'm extremely dense and just don't get it, or I don't care enough to get it. Now, I care about people. Don't take this in the wrong way. I care about people. However, I'm not an extremely dense person. So, what is keeping me from caring enough to figure it out is the question that I ask. And it's not to place blame on that person. Well, you're just sensitive. We hear this often. You're just sensitive. You just need to get over it. You just need to suck it up. And we try to shift this blame over to the other party instead of saying, hey, you know what? I need to respect that you're sensitive and then decide if I want people who are sensitive to your degree in my life. Ooh, man, all of a sudden, think about if you apply that to the decisions that you're making, whether it's working for an employer, staying in a relationship, staying in your state that you grew up in. Just had a conversation today about with a friend who was like, you really just left California and started just building your life. And they asked people ask this frequently if I'm going back to California. And I continue to tell them, no, I don't have any desire to go back to California. I think it's overpriced currently, and it probably is going to continue to be overpriced. I prefer, if I'm going to make money, not to give it away to the state that I live in just because I grew up there or just because I was raised there. But think about how when you're 100% accountable to your role in the situation, how you can change. And that's really what this tool is about, is that you can, on a drop of a dime, decide, I'm 100% accountable. I'm 100% accountable for going to work, right? I could be the best employee in the job, go to work every single day, be there on time every single day, hit every single deadline. And because it is my choice, I can decide tomorrow, I'm not going into work anymore. I'm not going to do my work anymore. I'm not going to do my job anymore. And that is the power that you have to do negative things and create negative consequences for yourself. But you have that exact same power and authority to do it on the positive side as well. You can be an employee who's struggling. If you've read anything in my book, Fire Your Job, Hire Your Passion, I talk about how I was a subpar average employee and I had to decide that I was no longer going to be that person. Now, did that change happen overnight? No, but it was a conscious decision that I made to begin to display the behaviors that a above average employee would display. So I don't want to go very much or too much more into it because I've been into it for a while, but this tool is really, really important when it comes to being the phoenix. If you're truly going to arise from the ashes, you have to be 100% accountable for your role in everything you do. Own your mistakes and learn from them. So that's tool number one when it comes to the phoenix. Tool number two, really quick, what's going on, B-Gate? Tool number two when it comes to the phoenix is rebuild one block at a time. And really, this is an exercise of patience. When I was a kid, I loved playing with Legos. I mean, that was like one of my favorite toys. I had G.I. Joes and other things and Nintendo, but Legos, like, I could still build one of the little spaceship motorcycle things that I would make with Legos today because I just loved being able to create. But just like with Legos, when let's go to another more complex, because that's like a 3 Lego project. But there's Lego puzzles. I remember when we put together our oldest son's Batman Lego jet. I can't even remember how many pieces there were, but there was well over 1,000 pieces, and it took me well over 8 hours to build that Batman jet. But it was one block at a time. You look at the instructions, it says, take this block. Okay, put that block with this block in this way. And over an 8-hour period with just Legos, an 8-hour period, we were able to build a Batman jet that had like functioning wings and firing parts and a canopy and all that great stuff. Now, think about that with our life. We're not talking about 8 hours. I'm 41 years old. So I've had 41 years to build brick by brick by brick by block by block by block my current situation. And here's the thing. We get into these areas where we understand that it took us a while to get there. Think about it, maybe even like a drug addict. A drug addict may become addicted to a drug the first time they take it. I'm not saying that that's not possible. However, it is the repetitive use of the drug that makes that addiction more and more severe. And so when we have these major failures in our life, it's usually a result of a buildup of multiple decisions over time. So if it's a buildup of multiple decisions over time, if we're going to undo that or start building something different, it's going to be the same process. It's almost like our first block, once we get to a catastrophic failure or once we're in the ashes, our first block to decide if we're going to resurrect or not is saying, okay, I'm going to have to forgive myself that I made all these decisions and create all these layers that don't get me to where I want to go. I have to forgive myself. Then after that, we have to decide, now that I forgive myself, I have to decide I'm going to get up. These are just blocks. Now I've decided I'm going to get up, but it's not just, oh, well, I decided I'm going to get up. How am I going to move forward? These are all blocks, and each step that we take in the process is a step in moving forward. And it's a step in how we rebuild ourselves one block at a time. Think about it as as like a Jenga game. You know, I don't know if you've ever played Jenga, but if you haven't, it's a game of blocks. They do 3, 3, 3, and they just go back and forth. And you pull a block, put it on top. Pull a block, you put it on top. Pull a block, put it on top. And eventually this tower becomes really unstable. And eventually what happens is somebody pulls a block and that tower falls over. Now, you can't just pick up the pile of blocks and drop them and now the tower is back up. You have to put 3 blocks together, put them down. 3 more blocks together, put them down. And it is a process of building layer by layer by layer by layer. And that is how we begin to arise out of the ashes and reform into who we want to be. Now, the thing I like about the story, little side note, the thing I like about the story of the Phoenix is in the story of the Phoenix, it is an immortal bird. It's only one bird, and there's only one phoenix on the planet at one time in Greek mythology. So when it burns to the ashes, when it burns itself to ashes and it re-arises, guess what? It's the same bird. It's not a different bird. It's not like it's like, okay, bird, it's your turn. All right, I burned myself. Now it's your turn. Okay, I burned myself. It is the same exact bird. And this is very critical in the aspect of us being phoenixes, is that when we hit our rock bottom, when we're when I always say below the barrel, trying to break into the bottom of the barrel, when we're in that situation and we feel like there's no saving us, there's no redeeming us, man, when you arise from those ashes, you are the exact same person. You are the exact same person with the exact same capabilities when you arise from those ashes. And that's what that one block at a time is about, is you're the same person and you're just taking new blocks and deciding that you want a different path. Lastly, in this tool, one of the things that really got me thinking about this tool about rebuilding one block at a time is I have a friend who has been very vocal of her journey on going through breast cancer and mastectomy and things of that nature. And in watching her journey and seeing her experiences, I think about how one block at a time really is ingrained in our nature. So when my friend had their mastectomy, they like showed their wounds and everything. And when they started, they had these big wounds from the surgeries that they had, and they were in pain, and it was a struggle. It was a challenge for them. But over time, the wound would close, the wound would be treated, and it would be closed, and closed, and closed, and close. And it got me thinking about how when we make these catastrophic mistakes, they can create wounds like this: emotional wounds, mental wounds, sometimes financial wounds, sometimes relationship wounds, sometimes wounds that really exist in the life, in reality, metaphorically. Um, but just like the body, when we experience a wound, if my hand is cut, my body goes into action, creating one cell and one cell and one cell and one cell and one cell, and it just multiplies until that wound heals. And really, that's what one block at a time is about, is regardless of what your catastrophic failure was, regardless of what your catastrophic event is, um, just one block at a time to create that connective tissue to get you back from the ashes and then headed to where you want to go. And then tool number 3 is believe in your potential. We give so much power sometimes to our setbacks. We give them so much power, so much authority. Um, Almost the final word sometimes, like, oh, because I failed at this, I can never do this again. Um, I remember when I was in one, because I think the Phoenix has multiple. I think the Phoenix burns every 500 years. I'm not going to be here for 500 years. So I've had multiple Phoenix events, though, in my life. Um, and I remember in one of my lowest moments in life when I just felt like, man, I'm not going to be able to take care of myself financially. I'm not going to be able to take care of my child. I don't have a future. There's nobody's going to want to work with me. Nobody's going to want to help me. I remember just being in a place where I was just so beat up, and I gave the situation so much authority in my life to dictate the new decisions I had the opportunity to make. And when you place so much belief in your setback, what you do is you give it power. And that's why tool number 3 is about believing in your potential. Because when you place that much belief in your potential, you give your potential to overcome and thrive. You give that the power. You give it more power than the setbacks. I have seen people who have lived life and have made some significant mistakes. Like, these are clearly mistakes. These were not the choice that anybody would choose, given the consequences that would come with the choice. But the difference between how they come out on the other side of that, or the difference between how they arise out of their ashes, is always been what their belief is in their potential. We just had a show last night, and we were talking about potential, on Charlie Michelle and Billy Rowe Live. We were talking about potential, and I put the word actionable potential in front of it, meaning that there are certain actions that take place that lead you as an observer to believe that this potential actually is going to come into fruition. And so, when I think about this, believing your potential, it really is, once you believe in it, it begins to drive the actions in which you will do to over in what you will do to overcome. And really, it comes about, where does your belief lie? Because if your belief is in the setback, if your belief is everything that you've been told up to this moment is, well, this setback, there's no coming back from that. Um, then that's your actions will say it doesn't make sense to try to get out of it, and you won't work to get out of it, and you won't work to arise from the ashes. You will inevitably allow the ashes of the mistake or the ashes of the event to define you for the remainder of your life, or until you decide to begin to believe in your potential. um and the thing about believing in your potential is, it's not really an easy process. It is something that will be repeatedly challenged. As you believe, you'll have people who will say, ah, well, no, you can't do that because, as you believe, you will have yourself tell you, well, I already made the mistake and I'm probably just going to make it again. So it's not worth trying to overcome. As you believe in your potential, you might have society tell you that, hey, there's no hope. So you might as well just go ahead and give it up. Um, there's so many things when it comes to believing in your potential. For me, one of the things that I had to overcome and get out of my own head with was being a high school graduate and not a college graduate, in which it was really difficult to believe in the potential of the income that I was capable of making, because I was looking at statistical information that says, hey, because you only have a high school diploma, you're only supposed to make this amount of money. Because you have a high school diploma, you're more susceptible to being a renter than an owner. Because you have only a high school diploma, if you do want to make money, you're going to have to start your own business. Like, there were so many different levels of this lack of belief that society gave me to work with. Um, but it came once I decided for myself that, hey, Billy, what's the difference between the person who goes to college and has a professor and buys the books that the professor tells them to buy, and the person who goes to the library or goes to Barnes and Nobles and buys the books that the professor told the other students to buy, buys them and reads them and can comprehend them? To me, the difference is there's a degree, but there may not be a difference in aptitude or a difference in acumen. So that, for me, was how I began to create belief in my potential. Belief that literally has led me to the path of where we're at today on the first row, doing Wednesday words and being able to share insights and share things that really mean something to who I am. And not feel as if I am not qualified. I think that's the word. I don't want to use worthy. That I'm not qualified to be in this position and give loving, nurturing, and compassionate advice. So that's tool number 3, is believe in your potential. Put more belief in your potential than you are putting in your setback. And I guarantee you will overcome your setback and thrive beyond your greatest belief. So that's what I have for you guys tonight. Let's really quickly go over the tools. I don't know why I feel like emotional in this Wednesday word today, but let's quickly go over the tools. Tool number 1 is be 100% accountable for your role. Again, put your own rebirth in your hands. If you got yourself here, you can get yourself out of here and you can excel beyond here. Tool number 2 is rebuild one block at a time. It's not an all at once process. And if you think that it's going to be an all at once process and you attempt to do that, it's probably going to be really frustrating. And you're going to probably have even additional moments of of defeat or feeling defeated because you're overwhelmed and things are not necessarily working out the way you believe that they should. And then tool number 3 is believe in your potential. We can only become, honestly, at the end of the day, we can only become what we believe we are capable of achieving. We can only become who we are capable, or we can only become who we believe we are capable of becoming. That's all we can become. We manifest every single part of our life, every single part of this moment that we have in this part of our life or in this journey of our life. We have manifested it through choices, actions, and decisions. That's it. You made a choice. That choice led you to an action, which caused you to make another decision. That's how we've gotten to where we are today. So believe in your potential. You may have some setbacks, you may have some failures, but believe in your potential. And I don't like to use the word promise, but I'm gonna promise you, if you are willing to believe in your potential and you start taking actions to create it as an actionable potential, you're gonna see a lifestyle that you have never seen. And I don't mean like a for show, buy a new house, new car. I just mean a greater form of existence in which you truly get to experience who you were meant to be in this world. So that's what I got for you guys today. As always, with the Wednesday word, I like to share a personal story, something that got me thinking about this particular topic. And trust me, I have tons of Phoenix moments that I could share. But I really started thinking about a person that I know um, who went through their own Phoenix journey and how they made choices that got them incarcerated, and not incarcerated for like they went to jail for a weekend or for a week. They were incarcerated for quite some time. And I remember thinking, like, man, this person had so much going for themselves, and one decision has just completely ruined their life. And then as you experience your Phoenix moments in life, you realize that, oh, that's one moment in life. And the decisions that they made to get there, they can actually make some of those decisions. But they went to prison, and they were a felon, and they lost a lot of their like citizenship rights, like the right to own a gun, the right to vote. They lost a lot of rights in becoming a felon or being a felon. And um, I started thinking about where they're at now, because this was a long time ago that they were incarcerated, and then they got out, and then they made decisions. But here's the thing: while they were incarcerated, one of the things that they did to help rise from the ashes, or one of their blocks that they put together, was they started to get their education. They were like, well, while I'm locked up, let me get an education, let me get a degree. So then they got their degree. Then they get out, and they go and they start working for a company, and they show extremely amazing work ethic, and they get promoted, and they get promoted, and they get promoted, and they get promoted. And then one of the greatest things that I think that they shared was their rights had been restored. Um, and so a lot of people don't know, like, once you're a felon, like in society, like on average, once you're a felon, you're always a felon. That'll never be off your record. But there's actually a process that you can go through to reestablish your rights, reestablish your right to vote, reestablish your right to own a gun, reestablish your right to basically do the things that you would be able to do if you were not a felon. There's a process to go through. And to see this person go step by step by step by step by step through this process, hey, look, I went in, I made a mistake, but I'm not going to allow myself to be defined by that mistake. I got an education. Now I'm working. Now I'm promoted. This person, I believe, makes probably more money than I make today as an employee. But this is what being a Phoenix is about, is not allowing your setbacks to be the same reason why you hold yourself back. It's a setback. Yeah, it's a mistake. It's a misstep. But we have the opportunity and the power to be able to overcome any mistake that we could possibly create and still live. Like, if you didn't die, then you have the opportunity to overcome that mistake. And that's what that Phoenix mentality is about no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've gone through, no matter what you may go through. At the end of the day, even if you have to burn it down to the base ashes, one block at a time, one decision at a time, one belief at a time, you can resurrect and overcome. So that's what I got for you guys today. I totally appreciate you guys rocking with me on the first row. What's going on, Ayala? Um, really, really quick, just to let you know, if you have not done so already, I cannot stress enough. Go to firstrow.com right now and get your copy of Fire Your Job, Hire Your Passion. I'm going to always recommend that you get the book and the journal combo. It's actually the cheapest place you can get it online is through firstrow.com as a combo pack. If you get it one for one, then you end up paying more money, and you don't have to do that. The book is not to make money. The book is to get information out there and to continue to help develop people in my own journey and in my own Phoenix rising story. So if you have not done so, please go to firstrow.com, get your copy today. And then the next time you will see me or I should say, Carolyn Michelle and I online live on the first row will be next Tuesday. That will be at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Haven't determined what the topic is. Well, I take that back. I know what the topic is, but I didn't put it in here. So you'll have to see what the topic is when I post it on social medias. Then after that, the next Wednesday word, I have not determined what the topic will be for that, but that will be next Wednesday on May 18th at, I don't know, I forgot, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to find out what that's about, check social media, or you can just watch live and be in the house when it goes down. Lastly, as always, if there's a topic that you would like us to express, whether it's on Carolyn Michelle and Billy Rowe Live or on a Wednesday Word Concept, please send that email to topics@firstrow.com. Be happy to look at that topic. And if it's something that I feel we or I or Carolyn feels she or I can speak to, then we'll put it up and we'll let you know when it's going to be on air. But other than that, I thank you guys for rocking with me on the first row this evening. As always, if you like this video, share it. If you share it, like it. I love engaging with you guys in the live chat for those who are live. And if you want to engage in the comments for those who are watching via the replay, please do not hesitate to put a post in that comment section. But I will only respond to comments for the first 7 days, because then we move on to the next content. But other than that, until the next time, one love, peace, and God bless. Thanks for sitting on the first row.